Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, nice to meet you in this video. I hope this video can useful for you all, because today I'd like to give explanation about English materials, and I hope this can give a positive effect for your English knowledge. But before that, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Syukran and I'm from English Education 2019, Class A, State University of Makassar. I was born on Kanang 24 of May 2001, and I came from Kanang, Bendungan Street, Polewali Mandar or West Sulawesi. Then you can contact me on 085 222 66 86 and 52, and you can contact me also by email, that is syukran24@gmail.com. Have enjoyed this video, and we move to our topic today. Today I would like to explain about methodical history of language teaching. The first one is, what is methodical? The first is came from Richard and Rogers. According to Richard and Rogers, methodical was an umbrella term for the specification and interrelation of theory and practice. An approach defines assumptions, beliefs, and theories about the nature of language and language learning. Then design specify the relationship of those theories to classroom materials and activities. Then the last one is procedures, are the techniques and practices that are derived from one's approach and design. So that is the methodical by Richard and Rogers. The next is methodical by Edward Anthony. His concept of method was the second of three hierarchical elements, namely approach, method, and technique. The first one is an approach. An approach is, according to Anthony, was a set of assumption dealing with the nature of language, learning, and teaching. Then method was described as an overall plan for systematic presentation of language based upon a selected approach. Then the last one is techniques, where the specific activities manifested in the classroom that were consistent with a method and therefore were in the harmony with an approach as well. So we move to the explanation about the method. It consists in three stages. The first one is approach, design, and procedures. Within approaches consists of 2 points. The first one is a theory of nature of language. The second is a theory of nature of language learning. Then in design, the first one is the general and specific objectives. The second is a syllabus model. The third is types of learning and teaching activities. The next is learner roles. Next is teacher roles. And the last one is the role of instruction materials. Then we move to the procedures with one main point, that is classroom techniques and practice and behaviors observed when the method is used. The next, we move to the next materials is about approach, method, and technique. The first one is approach. Approach is theoretically well-informed positions and beliefs about the nature of language, the nature of language learning, and the applicability of both to the pedagogical settings. Then the next is method. A generalized set of classroom specification for accomplishing linguistic objectives. Methods tend to be concerned primarily with teacher and student roles and behaviors, and secondarily with such features as linguistic and subject matter objectives, sequencing, and materials. The third is curriculum or syllabus, was designed for carrying out a particular language program. Features including a primary concern with the specification of linguistic and subject matter objectives, sequencing, and materials to meet the needs of designated group of learners in a defined context. Well, the last one is technique, is any of wide variety of exercise, activities or tasks used in the language classroom for realizing lesson objectives. Well, we move to the grammar translation method. Well, in the 19th century, the classical method came to be known as the grammar translation method. There was little to distinguish grammar translation from what had gone on in the foreign language classrooms for centuries beyond, focused on grammatical rules as the basic for translating from the second to the native language. Remarkably, the grammar translation method withstood attempts at the turn of the 20th century to reform language teaching methodology, and then you can see in Gwen's series method and the direct method below. And to this day, it is practiced into many educational contexts. And then we move to the characteristic grammar translation. Prater and Sheikh Murcia list the major characteristics of grammar translation. The first one is classes are taught in the mother tongue with little active use to get to the target language. Then the second is much vocabulary is taught in the form of lists of isolated words. The third is long collaborate explanation of the intricacies of grammar are given. Then the fourth is grammar provides the rules for putting words together, and instruction often focused on the form and inflection of words. The fifth is reading of difficult classical text is begun early. The next, little attention is paid to the context of texts, which are treated as exercises in grammatical analysis. Then the next is often the only drills are exercises in translating disconnected sentences from the target language into the mother tongue. Then the last one is little or no attention is given to pronunciation. It is ironic that his method has until very recently been so stalwart among many competing models. Well, we move to the direct method. The first one is classroom interaction was conducted exclusively in the target language. Then the second is only everyday vocabulary and sentences were taught. The next is oral communication skills will build up in the carefully treated progression organized around question and answer exchange between teachers and students in small intensive classes. The next is grammar was taught inductively. The next is new teaching points were taught through modeling and practice. The next is considerate vocabulary was taught through demonstration, objectives, and features. Abstract vocabulary was taught by assertion of ideas. The next is both speech and listening comprehension were taught. And the last one is correct pronunciation and grammar were emphasized. The direct method enjoyed considerable popularity at the beginning of the 20th century. Well, we move to the audiolingual method. The first one is New material is presented in dialect form. The next is there is a dependence of mimicry, memorization of set phrases, and overlearning. The third is structures are sequenced by means of constructive analysis and thought one at a time. And the next is structural patterns are taught using repetitive drills. The next is there is little or no grammatical explanation, while grammar is taught by inductive analogy rather than by deductive explanation. The next is vocabulary is strictly limited and learned in context. The next is there is much use of tapes, language labs, and visual aids. Next is great importance is attached to the pronunciation. Next is very little use of the mother tongue by teachers is permitted. Then the next is successful responses are immediately reinforced. And the next, there is a great effort to get students to process error-free utterances. And the last one is there is a tendency to manipulate language and disaggregate content. Well, we move to designer methods of the spirited in 1970th century. Well, the decade of the 1970th century was historically significant on two counts. Well, the first one is perhaps more than in other decades in modern language teaching history, research on second language learning and teaching grew from offshoot of linguistics to a discipline in its own right. And as more scholars specialize their efforts in second language acquisitions studies, our knowledge of how people learn language inside and outside the classroom must grow. The second is in this period atmosphere of pioneering research, a number of innovative, if not revolutionary, methods were conceived. These designer methods were soon marketed by entrepreneurs as the latest and greatest application of the multidisciplinary research findings of the day. The next, so that's all what I have explained. I'm sorry if I'm gonna mistake. Hope this is can useful for you all. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.